I just wanted to take a moment today to talk a little bit about the costs of achieving net zero, because in the last few months we've seen some backbench MPs in this country start to raise protests about this, start to say, oh, but what about the costs of net zero? So I want to say three things in relation to this. Number one, what is absolutely clear is that the costs of climate action are far, far less than the costs of inaction on climate. That is crystal clear, and pretty much for anyone that doesn't get that means they don't really get climate change or the nature emergency and don't understand just how significant a threat it is and it poses and how much we're suffering that right now. Secondly, the other thing I want to say is where there are costs in this transition that we have to bear over the years and decades ahead, well, they're much higher now because we didn't take action 15, 20, 30 years ago as the science demanded then. We've left it so late to act on the climate and ecological emergency that's why the costs are now as high as they are. And why is that? Well, that's thanks to a similar bunch of politicians who actually argued against that action 15, 20 years ago. And of course, the big fossil fuel companies that actually blocked a lot of the action on this. And the final thing to say is the longer we leave it from now on, the higher the costs go again. If we don't take action on climate now, then we're just piling the costs onto future generations. And I would want to look any politician in the eye and ask them, how do they think it's fair to say to the next generation that they need to inherit this huge ecological debt and a huge financial debt from our generation because we failed to act?